Welcome back, basketball fans. Welcome back. Round of applause to South Sudan. I mean, they're the number one team in Africa. They have won, a ticket to the 2024 Paris Olympics. Let's just give them a round of applause. Let's just give them their flowers because, man, I've watched this team since the FIBA World Cup qualifiers. They went 11 and 1. When they went 6 and 0, I was um I was just surprised. When they went 3 and 0, I was surprised. When they went 6 and 0, I thought it was impossible. Then they just did the impossible. They went 11 and 1. They punched their ticket to the FIBA World Cup. They had their warm up games against Venezuela, Iran, Brazil. They lost against Brazil. They had some fight in there, and just watching them was just an awesome thing. Then just looking at their performance against, teams outside of Africa, they went up against, China. Went up against Puerto Rico. They went up against Serbia, the Philippines, and Angola. Actually, one thing I found it interesting, like they've just seen Angola in the biggest stage, and they were able to like beat them by 100 plus points. They beat them on 101-78 to notch a ticket and grab their ticket to the Paris Olympics. They beat the Philippines. I mean, it was just they beat the Jordan Clarkson led Philippines 87-68. I know it was a hard game against Serbia because man, Serbia were just they were just on that level, man. I mean, it was. I don't know if Nikola Jokic was playing. It would be game over. But it was when in 115-83. Just learning, just adding on to that experience. Then when they played against, China, that was the game that they beat China by 20 points. That was actually pretty awesome to see. And looking at the way like South Sudan have just come in and just taken over the basketball scene, out of the five teams that made the FIBA World Cup, this is the team that reaped the all the benefits of like being in such a tournament because even despite losing, I know it was a Cinderella story if they're gonna win it all, but looking at the way that they came out and played, I mean, they won. I mean, they won a ticket to the. They didn't just go in empty-handed like the way Angola went in there, the way Cape Verde were there, Cote d'Ivoire and Egypt. I mean, Egypt were literally struggling. Their game in continental basketball did not translate to like worldwide basketball. You can see South Sudan are just geared up to that level. You can see the coaching staff, you can see the players. They knew what they were doing in there. Yeah, they had Winnie Gabriel in there, Carlick Jones, Dr. J. I mean, this guy is just phenomenal. Looney Ormond also, the reigning Ball MVP. He was there as well. We didn't get to see a lot of his moments, but you can see Carlick Jones just knew what he had to do so that he could like will that team, that South Sudanese national team to like that big stage and ended up winning two straight games. Out of five games, they had a good record. They had a good record of 3-2. Like they lost against Puerto Rico, which it was a welcome in the NBA. Welcome to the FIBA World Cup moment where they lost by 5 points. Majority of the time, even I covered in the previous video, like they got beat by they got beat by only 5 points, while the other African nations got blown out by 25 to 30 points. So, them having a good game against Puerto Rico was awesome. They beat China by 20 points, which is actually pretty awesome to see. And okay, they lost against Serbia by like 15 to 20 plus points, which is not a bad outing because they're able to hold their own. Because Serbia only held them to 83 points. They didn't like hold them to like the lowest points. But after that, the big game against the home team, Philippines, against an NBA playing Jordan Clarkson, they beat him. Now to say also Carlick Jones, he plays for the Chicago Bulls, and he was just sensational in there. Then the game against Angola, I just knew off the bat the South Sudanese national team was gonna beat Angola. Even I didn't I predicted it in my mind. I was just looking at that game and I just knew for a fact that there was no way South Sudan are just gonna drop an opportunity to beat Angola, and they did. And this was just awesome to see. I was just pretty much excited, and looking at the winners of like this FIBA World Cup, I can say South Sudan just came out on top. They lost against Puerto Rico and Serbia. Those are the only teams that they lost to. They won against China, won against the Philippines, and they won against an African team in Angola. So best thing I can say is that the winning team in Africa when it comes to like the FIBA World Cup. They punched their ticket to the Paris Olympics. I mean, look at like if you look at like the timeline and how like they started. When you look at the way they started, maybe way back in 2020, they qualified for their first ever Afrobasket. There was no much expectation on the South Sudanese team. Kenya beat the South Sudan in the pre-qualifiers. By that time, they didn't have like a lot of big names in there. But if you look at like the way they brought in Coach Royal Ivy, Lowell Deng was at the helm, brought him in there, and had all that talent come in and get those overseas players in there just to form a ball club that can be able to like win basketball games. That was actually one of those things that when I saw it, I was very excited to see. And the Afrobasket campaign in 2021 spoke volumes to how like they played. They actually eliminated my Kenyan team. Like I'm a Kenyan born citizen, so they beat my Kenyan side, but they lost to Tunisia. But after that loss to Tunisia, I mean, it was just all systems go because they were able to avenge the loss, especially against Tunisia. They beat them twice. They make sure to beat Egypt twice. They were powerhouse teams. Went 11-1. They avenged the loss against Senegal, a team that even was a favorite to make the FIBA World Cup. They didn't make it, but when they came in and they matched up against Brazil, they lost. They matched up against Iran and Jordan, they won. And coming in here into the FIBA World Cup, you could see what they did. So it was just like steps in the right direction because at that point, I just felt like there was no stopping like that. Them getting to the Olympics. You can see Nigeria didn't make the cut to the Olympics. A team that is seemed to be like the powerhouse in basketball in Africa, and South Sudan are right now number one. I don't care what nobody says. Like South Sudan right now are number one. They are above Egypt. They are above Tunisia. I mean, they beat Tunisia already. Egypt, they can't do it. Angola, they beat them to the last game to qualify. Cape Verde still have a long way to go. I mean, Cote d'Ivoire, nah, man. I mean, not 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 to say much, like not even like throw shade at them, but right now it's South Sudanese basketball just raining through Africa. So I don't care what nobody says. If you qualify for the Olympics and you win 3 games out of 5 games, you win 3 of them in the FIBA World Cup, matching up against other nations. 4 out of the 5 games that they played, they matched up against nations that are outside the continent, and they had a good performance even despite the loss. You could see they still held their own. That's a win in my book, because looking at like how far that team has come and looking at where they're going right now is actually pretty is actually so inspiring, and you can see like they're ticking all the boxes that my Kenya team can't tick. We barely make we barely scratch the surface in the African. And the funny thing is, with the South Sudanese team, not only did they have like a strong side here, they also tried to like build a team to compete in the African, but they couldn't make it past the African qualifiers, which were like if they won both a ticket and also like the African, it would just be pretty interesting, nice storyline. But that didn't happen. But if you look at like the steps they made to the right direction, there is something that I don't think Kenya can do, given like our management. I know we've had like a lot of like turmoil in there, but you can see South Sudan are just on top of Africa. They're top in Africa. There's no team that can beat South Sudan right now. None. Tunisia can't do it. Egypt can't do it. Senegal can't do it. None. No team can beat them. Angola tried in the last game in the FIBA World Cup. They can't do it. And South Sudan are just on cloud nine right now. And I feel like even if they matched up against Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, they will easily beat them. If they use this squad, or even if they don't use this squad, if they use even the qualifier squad, they'll still beat them. hands down. There's no contest there. So I'm just awesome. I just feel awesome for this team, and they're just good at what they do. So yeah, if you guys like the video, make sure to leave your feedback down in the comments. I'm just excited. I'm ecstatic, and it's just everything is just moving on all cylinders, man. I mean, man, leave your feedback down in the comment section because I'm just too excited for this, man. I'm out. Peace.